Tropical storm Debbie moving through the Gulf of Mexico towards the Florida coast, whether or not we could see impacts here in North Georgia.
Plus, former President Donald Trump hoping to rally up his base in Georgia following a speech in front of thousands of supporters. We recap the speech attacking his rival, Vice President Kamala Harris, and his criticism of Governor Brian Kemp. 3 of the state's top 5 largest school districts are back in the classroom tomorrow. Everything you need to know as your child gets ready to kick off a brand new school year. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday morning. I'm Ariana Manise. Today is August 4th. We want to get you live out of Noonan, where this is our beautiful view from the historic downtown square. You see the sun slowly starting to rise. All eyes are on the coast this week. This is a live look from the Savannah River as we monitor a tropical storm in the Gulf. Governor Brian Kemp has declared a state of emergency ahead of any impact we could see to our state. Our Nicole Hartford is in the Weather Center tracking Tropical Storm Debbie. Nicole, what impact could this tropical storm have on the Georgia coast?
Well, along the coast, Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, impacts there could be pretty big with heavy rainfall, flooding, and of course the storm surge to think about in the next couple of days. So if you have plans to travel out to the coast, those definitely need to be monitored closely, and you may want to consider rescheduling. Right now, Tropical Storm Debbie is moving through the Gulf of Mexico. Its sustained winds are up to about 60 miles per hour. It's moving up towards the northwest at 13 miles per hour, but it is expected to veer up towards the northeast just within the next 24 hours. Landfall expected early tomorrow morning along the Florida coast, likely as a Category 1 hurricane. It will then cross over the state, potentially re-emerging into the Atlantic and then moving up along the coast. Now, our forecast track does keep it off towards the south and the east of us, putting us on the drier side. So impacts here across Metro Atlanta, North Georgia should remain pretty minimal. I'll have more on Tropical Storm Debbie coming up in my full forecast in just a few minutes. For today, though, our forecast looks great. Right now, we're enjoying sunshine in Atlanta with current temperature 75 degrees. This is our view from the Georgia Tech campus. Lots of sunshine there. It's going to be another hot one, no surprise. Right now, though, many of us are dealing with some limited visibility because of the fog. In most locations, already that fog is starting to lift, but it's really up into far north Georgia, especially at elevation, where that fog is still settled among the mountains and limiting visibility there. Our conditions will stay mostly clear to partly cloudy throughout the day today. A couple pop-up showers possible later this afternoon, but rain chances remain very low. It'll be similar to yesterday. A couple of us could pick up on some brief heavy rainfall, some thunder, some lightning, but for the vast majority of us, we're staying dry throughout the day today. Cloud cover will start to increase this afternoon as those rain chances go up. High temperatures will be in the low 90s. Forecast for today really similar to what we felt yesterday. So it's still going to be hot, but it should be really comfortable, especially if you're out at the pool, the lake. Remember though, if you hear thunder, make sure to take it inside. By tomorrow, that's when we start to see a little bit of that tropical influence with moisture going up across our area. We could see some isolated showers and storms associated with Tropical Storm Debbie here across North Georgia. So I'll break down that threat and look at Debbie's forecast track coming up in just a couple minutes. Ariana.
All right. Thank you, Nicole. This morning, people are reacting to former President Donald Trump's visit to Atlanta. The former president and his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, spoke in front of thousands last night at the Georgia State Convocation Center. Our Erica Murphy is live now outside the Convocation Center where that rally wrapped up last night. Erica, what was his message to his supporters last night?
Well, good morning, Ariana. It was a packed house here at the Georgia State Convocation Center yesterday, where Trump and his running mate, J.D. Vance, revved up the crowd with messaging about how they are determined to win in November. The center holds about 7,500 people, and those people who were out here as early as Friday, they were waiting to get in to see what the Trump had to say about Georgia and the part that the state will play in this election cycle. That message touched on several points. He criticized Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis over his indictment in an investigation into alleged election interference. His message also included an attack on, quote, Washington elites, Vice President Kamala Harris, and Georgia Governor Brian Kemp.
And we're going to defeat crazy Kamala. Atlanta is like a killing field, and your governor ought to get off his and do something about it.
But this November, let's tell the Washington elites, let's tell Kamala Harris, mind your own business. We're electing Donald J. Trump, President of the United States.
Now, we do know that Governor Brian Kemp actually clapped back on X last night, basically saying he is focused on winning the presidential election. He is not interested in petty personal insults. Reporting from Atlanta, Erica Murphy, 11Alive News.
Thank you, Erica. Supporters and protesters, they made their voices heard outside of the rally. Lines stretch all the way down Fulton Street outside with supporters who didn't make it into the rally. In the middle of that crowd were dozens of protesters. Many of Trump's supporters, they were not happy where they were because the screen where they could watch the rally was right in front of the demonstration. We spoke to people on both sides of the issue to hear what was on their minds.
Immigration, that's a big issue. We got basically a full-on invasion happening at the border. And that's a big issue when you want to talk about economics as well.
We're here to stand for Palestine and a free Palestine. We're here to stand for queer rights or LGBTQ plus rights. We're here for an end to student loans, healthcare.
Demonstrations from supporters and protesters were mostly peaceful outside with the exception of a few exchanges of words. People looking to support Vice President Kamala Harris showed up in force Saturday on Decatur Street to learn how to canvass. They also heard from Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas and Georgia Representative Nikema Williams. The women told a PAC room exactly what they think is at stake in November and presented a case for these volunteers to use in the next few months to inspire other voters to cast a ballot for Vice President Harris.
The ballot this election, our freedoms are on the ballot, y'all. Yes. Yes. And we understand that here in Georgia, we fight for our freedoms. Yes. We fight for the freedom to vote because we are in the home of the late Congressman John Lewis. Yes. We fight for our economic freedoms because everybody deserves the ability to not just get by, but to get ahead. Yes.
Volunteers attending the event received training and were dispatched to go door to door in teams. Vice President Kamala Harris will be back in Georgia this Friday. It follows her visit to Atlanta this past Tuesday. She'll be in Savannah as part of her campaign's tour of battleground states. Just days from now, we also expect to learn who Vice President Harris's running mate will be. We know this weekend Harris is vetting a short list of running mates. This set to include Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. He is reportedly supposed to meet with her today. An update to a story we brought you yesterday. Right now, Harris and Trump can't seem to agree on their next debate. Vice President Harris posting online that she will be at the ABC News debate on September 10th, a debate Trump announced he is backing out of that he previously agreed on when President Joe Biden was in the race and said he wanted to be held on Fox News on September 4th. 11Alive remains your source for everything happening on the campaign trail. Remember, you can head over to 11alive.com and click under the politics tabs for your top headlines. Starting today, some residents of an apartment complex where massive fire happened a week ago will finally be able to go inside of their homes. The Belle Collier Village apartment complex shared an update with residents yesterday, saying a limited number will be escorted into certain apartments to get their personal belongings. They will only be able to go inside the part of the building that engineers say is safe. Friday, it was revealed the fire started due to an unsanctioned party on the rooftop where a propane grill was filled with charcoal. Officials say 100 people were at that party. Now, we have stayed on top of this fire that has displaced dozens since last Saturday. You can get updates on this and other stories by downloading the 11Alive News app.
I say it over and over again, but I mean it. I want our children in classrooms and not in courtrooms.
More students are heading back to school this week, and to help parents have some money while going back to school shopping, Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis hosted a back to school giveaway on Saturday. Students received backpacks filled with supplies, and the event even provided massages for parents and teachers. Fulton is not the only school district returning tomorrow. Students in Gwinnett, DeKalb, Fayette, and Griffin Spalding County schools are heading back to the classroom. We hope you have a great school year. Also happening tomorrow, Atlanta Public Schools will officially swear in their new superintendent, Dr. Brian Johnson. About a month ago, Johnson was officially voted in as the newest superintendent. Last week, as APS started the new school year, our Jerry Carnes spoke with Dr. Johnson, who was happy to welcome students back.
Well, we are excited that the school year has begun. Looking forward to being in schools, seeing the work firsthand, the work our teachers are doing, and obviously our students and leaders, and continuing to build. Appreciate Dr. Battle having served and continuing to serve the next few days as interim superintendent, and the work of our school board in positioning me to come in and be successful.
The new superintendent will be sworn in tomorrow morning at 10. Following that, he will preside over his first board meeting as superintendent later on that afternoon. In Henry County tomorrow, the community gets one final chance to meet new superintendent finalist Dr. John Pace III. A meeting will be held from 5:30 to 7 tomorrow at the McDonough High School cafeteria. The Board of Education voted for Dr. Pace during a special meeting late last month. The board will vote on his appointment to the role, and the earliest this can happen is Tuesday. Dr. Pace comes to Henry County from Miami-Dade County Public Schools, the third largest school district in the country, where he served as deputy superintendent there. 11Alive is also kicking off the school year by helping set Fulton County students up for success. 11Alive is partnering with Heritage Elementary School and McNair Middle School to help fulfill their Amazon wish list of school supplies. If you use your phone, you can scan that QR code you see right now on your screen. It will take you right over to their list. The drive runs through August 23rd, so please consider donating and help us make it a great school year for these kids. Finding a newly constructed home that is not in a homeowners association is almost impossible, according to the Foundation for Community Association Research. More than 2 million Georgians live in an HOA, paying about $3 billion in dues. And while most seem happy, 11Alive investigative reporter Rebecca Lindstrom gets weekly emails from viewers feeling the opposite. She takes us to one community getting creative to regain control.
Back up. This was the scene in March.
Do not touch me. I didn't touch you.
A fight fueled by frustration over how this condo association was being managed by its HOA president, Claire Cherry. By July,
Judge, we have reached an agreement.
Cherry had agreed to do 20 hours of community service and take an anger management class. But several condo owners say the ruling does nothing to solve the actual problems at Peyton Place, a community in southwest Atlanta just off MLK Jr. Drive.
Like a raccoon could get in there.
11Alive Investigates went to court 3 times as the community tried to use code violations to get the HOA to fix years of neglect. Each were baby steps, but there is still moss on roof tiles, broken gutters, and busted walls. All things the HOA's covenants say it is responsible to fix.
I'm Rebecca Lindstrom with 11Alive.
I feel that the social media push, the coverage through 11Alive has put pressure on the situation, but obviously it's a super slow process.
You know, there are 47 units. Ms. Cherry is the HOA president. Her responsibility to even address code violations
Is your roof leaking?
is largely tied to those 47 individual units and homeowners paying their dues.
But according to property tax records, Cherry owns at least 12 of those units. And these homeowners say they have yet to see proof that even she is paying dues.
I mean, the board is responsible for collecting those dues, getting the money that's needed.
And reporting what actually was collected.
These property owners say they've never seen an HOA budget. That is why several homeowners have gone a step further, filing a lawsuit demanding the current board step down.
Right now, I believe our legal bill is $20,000.
There is growing interest, though, to find solutions to help homeowners. A new state legislative study committee will kick off this fall.
I hope to expose a lot of real abuses.
City of South Fulton Councilmember Linda Pritchett says she's trying to create her own study committee. She says local government can help educate people on what an HOA can and cannot do.
Many of the board members for HOAs don't realize that you have to have quarterly meetings. You have to understand Robert's Rules of Order.
But she says only the state can penalize boards, property management groups, or attorneys that participate in neglect, or on the other end of the spectrum, issue fines for the sake of fines.
My next door neighbor had built a pond with exotic fish and did not get permission. So within a year, they had $14,000 worth of fine. And it just didn't even make sense because they had removed the pond within 2 months.
Pritchett plans to take what she has learned to state lawmakers, and so does Shepard.
There is no recourse in the state of Georgia when you have an out of control and, in my opinion, criminal HOA.
In Southwest Atlanta, Rebecca Lindstrom, 11Alive investigates.
Lawmakers on every level tell 11Alive investigates they had no idea this was a problem. So much is so, you've heard it multiple times, it's worth repeating. Let your lawmakers, your local and your state lawmakers know exactly what you're experiencing. All right, let's get over to our meteorologist, Nicole Hartford, for your weather impact forecast. All eyes on this Sunday forecast. Nicole, as people are headed out for church this morning.
That's right, and it's nice across North Georgia and across the state. We have lots of sunshine out there. It's a beautiful start to the day. Things may start to change, especially closer down into central and south Georgia in the next 24 hours, though, all because of the tropics. We have Tropical Storm Debbie. This is the view right now of the rainfall associated with it. Some of those outer rain bands already impacting portions of Florida, and this will continue moving up towards the north before its eventual landfall into early tomorrow morning. It's currently producing sustained winds of about 60 miles per hour, moving north-northwest at 13 miles per hour. But as I said, it's expected to make a further northward and even eastward shift as it gets closer to the coast. Landfall is likely as a Category 1 hurricane. The official forecast from the National Hurricane Center does have 85 mile per hour sustained winds forecast for this, which puts it on the stronger side of a Category 1 hurricane before it approaches the Big Bend of Florida. This will veer further eastward, kind of cutting across the state and into likely South Georgia and eventually potentially re-emerging into the Atlantic. The forecast for the next couple of days associated with this has pretty high confidence, but as we get closer to the end of the week, that's when our confidence with the track of Tropical Storm Debbie starts to get a little bit lower. You'll notice that the forecast cone for it pretty large as we get into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Now, it looks like we'll stay on the western side of Tropical Storm Debbie, which is historically the drier side. That does mean that impacts here will likely be minimal, but we could still see some of that tropical moisture tomorrow and into Tuesday and maybe even through the end of the week. I mentioned that low confidence when it comes to the long-term forecast, and you can see why. These are our spaghetti models that show potential tracks of the center of circulation, and there's a pretty wide variability as we get into Wednesday and Thursday, which is not common with these tropical systems. Right now, that forecast track for it does have it moving across the state of Florida and into the Atlantic. A big steering factor here is actually going to be the stationary front that's currently stalled across the state. This is the same system that led to those isolated showers and storms yesterday and will elevate our rain chances later this afternoon as well. This will eventually steer Tropical Storm Debbie off towards the northeast, making it still pretty far away from us in the Atlanta metro. So here's as it approaches the state of Florida shortly before landfall. A lot of heavy rainfall associated with it. It cuts up into South Georgia and then essentially ejects off towards the east, potentially back into the Atlantic. This is going to essentially ride the coast up towards the northeast, bringing heavy rainfall and gusty winds along the Georgia coast as well as the Carolina coast. So if you have plans over the next week to get down to the coast, you will definitely need to monitor that closely. I mentioned the chance for some isolated showers and storms here. We could see some of that tropical moisture leading to maybe a ½ inch to an inch of rain accumulation, but the heaviest of the rainfall is definitely going to be across Florida, South Georgia, and then up into the Carolinas, where some spots could see 10 to 15 inches of rainfall accumulation. The further south and east you go across the state, the more rain, the better likelihood of seeing some of that tropical moisture. So down towards the south of the Atlanta metro and off towards the southeast, that's where we could see a little bit more rain associated with Tropical Storm Debbie. For right now, I'm keeping our rain chances really conservative. There is a very high chance that this tropical system shifts a little bit in the coming days, which could have big impacts on our rain chances here. A further westward shift, higher rain chances, and eastward shift, lower rain chances. So right now, only a 20 to 30% chance, which means a lot of us will stay dry. Starting off the morning, sunshine across the Atlanta metro, but some spots seeing a little bit more cloud cover. Mix of sun and clouds today. We'll enjoy some sunshine as a few isolated showers and storms develop. Rain chances this afternoon, about 30%, mainly between 2 o'clock and 5 or 6 o'clock. Once the sun sets, we'll lose that rainfall pretty quickly. A couple of those storms that do develop could produce some heavy rain, some lightning, even some gusty winds, but overall severe weather threat pretty minimal. Our high temperatures will get up into the low 90s this afternoon. It's going to be another hot one, but not too bad across the state. And high temperatures will start to climb into Tuesday and Wednesday with highs in the mid 90s expected. Our forecast is going to be a fluid one over the course of the next 7 days. We could see potentially some of that rainfall associated with Tropical Storm Debbie. So you'll need to stay updated when it comes to that potential for rainfall as we move through the rest of this week. Right now, though, looks like our impacts here will be pretty minimal when it comes to that tropical moisture. Ariana?
All right, thank you, Nicole. Right now, the search is on for a teen who hasn't been seen for weeks now. This is 14-year-old Harmony Jenkins. Police say her mother reported her missing exactly 3 weeks ago. If you know where she is, contact police immediately. After more than a decade, the family of Kendrick Johnson says their fight for justice is not over. Johnson is the teen whose body was found rolled up inside of a gym mat at his high school in Valdosta back in 2013. Saturday, Johnson's family and the Men of Israel United in Christ met in downtown Atlanta to demand transparency from officials about his death. Police initially said Kendrick intentionally crawled into the mat to get his shoe and suffocated, ruling his death accidental. But Johnson's father still says this doesn't add up.
A person can't go missing during school and just vanish and no one knows where he at, what happened to him. There's over 3,000 plus people at the school and it's impossible for nobody to see anything.
Johnson's father claims there's enough evidence to take their case to the Court of Appeals. Dramatic video shows the moments a Chick-fil-A employee fought off an armed intruder. Take a look at your screen. It happened last month in Gwinnett County at the location on Stone Mountain Highway. Our Cody Alcorn spoke to that employee about his experience.
He gave me an ultimatum and I had to fight at that point in time.
Inside this Stone Mountain Chick-fil-A.
And I'm carrying a couple of boxes up towards the front to put them away.
Kevin Blair was restocking after delivery truck in the early morning hours of July 1st.
And I hear some glass break, which was very strange.
When all of a sudden,
the guy came up behind me with a gun.
His intentions,
told me, to go and open the safe.
Crystal clear.
He told me, if you don't open the safe, you're going to die.
Blair, knowing he couldn't,
put my hands up in the air and I walked back towards the office.
Waiting for the right moment.
When I decided to fight for my life, I was able to get a hold of his hand and wrench his wrist back so that he couldn't point the weapon at me.
The struggle.
I broke his glasses, I put my thumb into his eye, he hit me several times.
Fighting off the intruder the whole time, thinking,
I want to see my kids. That's really it. Get through this, go see my kids. That was the biggest thought that was in my mind.
The U.S. Marshals arrested the suspect Wednesday. As for Blair, he tried to go back to work a few days after that attack, but he says it was just too much. He's now getting help to work through the trauma in hopes of returning one day soon. Gwinnett County Police need your help identifying these two suspects. They're accused of placing a credit card skimmer on a register at a grocery store in Norcross. A skimmer is a device installed on card readers that collects card numbers. Thieves steal this information to make fraudulent purchases. This incident happened on June 20th at the Talpa grocery store located on Jimmy Carter Boulevard. If you know anything about these suspects, you're asked to call Gwinnett County Police. Atlanta City Council has their first meeting of the month tomorrow, and we checked their agenda and found council will be discussing an ordinance to authorize $1.8 million to Invest Atlanta. The money supports the Legacy Business Program. It helps businesses in the city that have operated for over 30 years and have contributed to the development of the community. Council will also be looking at an ordinance to increase taxes on people who own properties that are neglected. Mayor Dickens and City Council, they call it a blight tax. The rule would would allow municipal courts to increase specific properties tax bills up to 25 times the current city tax rate. We've recently told you about a program helping homeowners 60 and up pay property taxes in Atlanta. The Anti-Displacement Tax Relief and Fund program focuses on helping legacy residents combat rising taxes in select neighborhoods. This Tuesday, Invest Atlanta will help people looking to apply for that program. You can get assistance on site at 9 a.m. at Atlanta Metropolitan State College. 3 housing projects are coming to the city of Atlanta, but right now business owners worry one of those projects is just another attempt to revitalize Atlanta's West End that won't come to fruition. 11Alive's Teresa Bowles took their concerns to the nonprofit behind the plans.
Atlanta's West End has been due for a facelift for a long time.
Something might happen. The physical building, being the mall, takes the bad reputation.
Nowadays, longtime resident Kevin says when people talk about the West End area, a historic and black neighborhood, they tend to mention crime and dilapidated buildings. And every few years, some developer tries to change things.
However, longtime business owners tell me they've heard it all before and watched colleagues time and time again have to close because of false promises.
If you look around, most of the stores are gone because we've been being told for years after years that you're not going to have a business to open if you don't relocate.
Atlanta Urban Development CEO John Major says this time will be different.
Timing is always the critical factor in any real estate development. What we have that I don't think any of the other developments have had is leadership at the caliber of Mayor Dickens.
Together this week, the City of Atlanta and Atlanta Urban Development announced 3 new affordable housing projects, one in downtown, one in the English Avenue area, and one at the Mall West End, a place Major says he frequented while at Morehouse. The neighborhood will see a grocery store and restaurants, and when Major says affordable, he means it.
A 1-bedroom will be right around $1,000 a month.
Major says he's also protecting affordability for the mall businesses like Kevin's Burning Sands, but he says the reshaping will need to be a group project to finally see the West End prosper.
Bring some new life into the neighborhood, some new stores, more opportunity.
The downtown project will start leasing sometime next year. Construction for the Mall West End and English Avenue projects is also set to begin next year. Together, these 3 projects will bring nearly 350 new housing units to the area. Happening tomorrow, tickets go on sale for the birthday celebration for former President Jimmy Carter. The Carter Center says his centennial birthday bash will happen at Atlanta's historic Fox Theater September 17th and will feature some famous faces, including country artists Eric Church, Allman Brothers band member Chuck Leavell, and Maren Morris. The event will also feature appearances by actor Sean Penn and Atlanta Braves legend Del Murphy. Tickets are $100. Starting today, you have the chance to try out some local spots you've never tried before. It's the start of Black Restaurant Week Atlanta. It actually runs through August 18th. So far, there are nearly 24 restaurants participating in this year's campaign, including Icy Chicks, Gaucher's Tapas Bar, Virgil's Gullah Kitchen and Bar. This is the 8th year for this campaign, and we may have some nice weather. Nicole, you can go out and start trying some of these restaurants.
Yeah, that's right. Today across North Georgia, a lot of time if you want to get outdoors, get out to try a new restaurant, get to the park, whatever you want to do, you should be able to do it. Lots of sunshine, especially through the morning, although some spots are a little slower to clear out the fog and the cloud cover. We'll stay partly cloudy to mostly sunny this afternoon as a few isolated showers and storms develop. Rain's going to be really hit and miss, which means a lot of us will stay dry, but where storms do develop, some brief heavy rainfall will be possible as long as some thunder and some lightning. Through much of this week, our forecast is very dependent on the track of Tropical Storm Debbie. This is still forecast to become a hurricane as it approaches the Florida coast, making landfall early tomorrow morning. This will then eventually move off towards the northeast, following the Atlantic coast up the northeast direction. When it comes to impacts here, they will be low. Some isolated showers and storms are certainly possible. Winds may even get a little breezy into Tuesday and Wednesday, but our rainfall associated with it will be far less than what I'm anticipating through portions of central and southern Georgia, where there is a flood risk associated with all that rainfall. You're going to want to stay really updated when it comes to the forecast the next couple of days with this tropical system. It will be fluid, and any westward shift could have big impacts on our rainfall potential through the next 7 days.
All right, thank you, Nicole. Parents, listen up. Babies R Us is making a comeback. fact, Kohl's is planning to add Babies R Us shops to 200 of its stores. They will start to open this month and all will be ready by the holiday season. Not only will you be able to shop to some Kohl's stores, but Babies R Us items will also be available online. And as athletes in Paris continue to compete in this year's Summer Games, they're getting a special push from these little fighters. These champs at Advocate Children's Hospital near Chicago were dressed up in honor of the Olympics. The hospital staff says these little fighters inside the NICU have all been awarded gold medals for their bravery, resilience, and of course, their cuteness. Certainly their cuteness. All right, thank you so much for joining us on this Sunday morning. Remember, the news continues throughout the day on 11alive.com. Go out and have a great day.